Did you feel they are one step closer to winning games?
I definitely thought they were better, Jeff, and particularly in attacking areas. I think the new signings will certainly, make them better to watch, as I say, in wide and central areas up front. Arsenal, I hear what you're saying. Arsenal I was looking for more from Arsenal. It's a great result for Arsenal, right? That's the first thing we've got to say. But in general play, I was a little bit disappointed in them. I perhaps want to see more. But the argument, and it's a fair argument, they did what they had to do, and they do what they do. Another set play already, another corner, which the goalkeeper didn't cover himself in glory. But from United's point of view, I think I can accept that from Amarin. I can, because I think they were certainly better yesterday than a lot of their performances last season, Jeff. So, and I think it's very early to start judging any team for this season. But yeah, effectively they lost the game again. But I think the new signings look good. I think Mbeumo's going to be a good player for them. And I think there was a lot of the aspects of their game where I was impressed, but again, no points, which would be disappointing.
Without being too harsh towards Bayern, dear, the truth is, Ali, isn't it? If the team swap goalkeepers, then United win.
I think you're probably right, mate. I think David Raya. It's amazing, isn't it? It seems like yesterday we were all up in arms about Ramsdale and all that stuff and the goalkeeping situation at Arsenal. And you have to say it looks very much like Arteta's decision in his own mind to change goalkeeper was the correct one. Certainly from his point of view and Arsenal's point of view. And you're right. I probably don't think it is harsh to say the difference between the sides was the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah, and slightly worryingly for Andre Onana, after the game, Ruben Amorim said there were 2 players ahead of Onana. So Altay Bayindir and Tom Heaton. Could be a long way back for him. For Arsenal, then, number 9, Viktor Gyökeres struggled on his debut, but Alan Pardew thinks it's far too early to be judging him.
He had a couple of moments when he trod on the ball, didn't he, in the second half, and just before he got subbed. And there was a couple of other occasions where he perhaps should have done better. He'd done a bit of link-up play that was, I thought, reasonable. In fairness to him, he had this long period of sitting out training at Sporting Lisbon to get the move. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, it looks to me like he needs to have a lot of work in. And maybe Arteta thought, it's best to start him, get some minutes under his belt, just keep playing him. It is sometimes the fastest way to get a player back.
Yeah, he's not going to look back on the game with any sort of affection, is he? That's for sure. But he had precious few opportunities to shine, in fairness.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, obviously, from his personal point of view, it wasn't an ideal debut in terms of his own performance. The most important thing is his team won. He got, what was it, about an hour before the substitutions get made and Havertz come on, maybe for a little bit more, whatever it was. Listen, there'll be far more to come from him this season. I certainly, if we're not going to judge teams in one game, I'm certainly not going to judge a new signing in one player, in one game.
United fans, let's hear from you. Despite the loss, were there signs that Ruben Amorim has turned things around? Can you be happy with a loss at home? And we've already heard from one Arsenal fan. It's Scott. Says it's going to be a tough morning for Jeff. He might have to say something nice about Manchester United. Now, Scott, where were you last week when I predicted that Manchester United would finish in a Champions League spot this season? Wasn't that nice? Yeah. And I thought there were encouraging signs in that game, that is for sure. Cunha was outstanding as the game went on in particular.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, and Mbeumo started off like his life depended on it, which was brilliant. Steve the Hammer says, we, West Ham United, we'll talk about them later, could have Pep Guardiola in charge and still not win anything until we get rid of Supermarket Dave. He wants Harrods players at little prices, but sometimes he does get a club card bargain. Not enough of them, not judging on the basis of Saturday. And a Leeds fan, Sam, the Leeds fan bin man, says, as a Leeds fan, I'm genuinely excited and nervous about the new season. I believe survival isn't out of our reach. Teams losing their top players around us. We're finally back in the big time with some shrewd signings and a manager who deserves his chance. And we'll talk about Leeds against Everton a little later. Of course, it is live on talkSPORT tonight. It might take some encouragement from Sunderland's result of the weekend.
Wasn't that a great result? Do you know what I loved about it as much as anything, Jeff? a kind of throwback to the extent, just a couple of crosses into the box, a couple of great headers, and you're 2-0 up. You know, there was no. I mean, they obviously try to play a bit of football as well, but sometimes you get the ball in the wide area, just get into the box and see what happens.
Yeah, they got a bit of pace going forward as well, haven't they?
Yeah, particularly in the counter for that third goal. You're absolutely right, mate. A tremendous result. What a start for them.
Brilliant result. And I tell you what, we'll talk about them later on as well, but their fixtures at this stage of the season, it's easy to read things. I mean, but they've got Burnley, for instance, next, and then I think Brentford after that. They've got a great chance of getting points on the scoreboard early doors to just relieve a bit of that pressure and give them self-belief if they need it. They didn't look like they needed it on Saturday. They looked like they had plenty of self-belief.
Full of confidence. Arsenal
fans, are you ready about? Are you concerned about Gyökeres? Is Pardew right? He just needs time. Of course, he's right.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.